Greetings and salutations, fellow gamers. Lukey P here with another episode of Let's Play Supreme Ruler Ultimate with Brazil. So our war with the US is going pretty well. So they're down to 3.5 million military and we are up to 6.66. Probably something in that 6.66. The mark of the beast. Yeah, okay. Let's get to 6.67 as soon as we can. So what has happened since the end of last episode? Well, we're still just mopping up what's left of the US and Europe, but it's just kind of tiny little enclaves now, nothing really to be worried about. The war in Central America is going very well. We are rapidly expanding into Mexico, and we are actually at the border with USA proper, which is part of the reason I thought I'd just do a quick update. I will probably do this episode in the style of a few others I've done before, where I play for a bit and then give an update on what's happened or show something of particular interest. So this is just forces rolling forward, smashing through the US. The most interesting bit at the moment is what's going on in the Pacific. I'm afraid attack leads to war. Okay, interesting. So we took Wake Island from the US, and in response their entire Pacific fleet appears to have turned up. So our wolf pack of subs is somewhat depleted. We brought some capital ships over who've died as well. We will we will suffer from that. Let's not pretend otherwise. So I was kind of island hopping, so I'd taken that from the US, that from the US, that from the US, this one here, and I'd gone to Wake Island thinking, yep, that's pretty close, I can send my subs in, and en masse the US has turned up with destroyers and capital ships, and it wouldn't surprise me if they bomb the smithereens out of Wake Island, to be honest. But hey ho, they had it before, and they've now got a battle on to retake it. Let me see if I can find any of my... That is that sub which has been on patrol there for goodness knows how long. It's gold star because it's probably sunk hundreds of ships. Yeah, okay. Okay, so I think let's play for a few minutes and we will see if we can salvage any of this, but our units are dying pretty rapidly. I'd like to try and sink. Yeah, we're managing to sink some of their ships at least. Should we treat that as second? Action because they're nothing like that. Okay, so now we're kind of done pretty much. We don't have any more ships, they've got loads, and our units will die. Okay, so that's kind of a write-off now, but yeah, we took out a few of their ships and they quite frankly can't build them as quickly as we can. They've got what? They've got 8 naval capacity and we've got 84. So you can't see past the numbers anymore, because I don't think we're meant to get to triple digits. We've got 349 land, 186 air, and 84 sea, and 3 missiles to boot as well. Part of me really wants to pick up a nuclear bomb and just drop it on Pearl Harbor, but yeah, I don't think that's going to work, is it really? How do I load into? I think it is, isn't it? No, I didn't want you to go into there. We will just try and work out how to put our right. Load unit. You've got 3 decks, you should be able to take these guys. Oh, unless of course they're not, that could be it, they're not designed to go on to, that's it. You need specific designs of units to be able to put them onto, don't you? I might have a look at that off camera. I think you need specific designs of units to be able to load them onto carriers, which is a bit disappointing, to be honest. Load into. Oh, there we are. That's there we go. So it's load into. Let's see how many of these we can fit in as well. Yeah, that's all right. So it's got. So we can stick a fair few more in there if we want to as well. What units have we got in reserve here? Nope, one button. We've got some bombers, let's get those out. We've got some multi ones, let's get those out. So load into, right click and then left click. And that will load into that. We have got, oh wow, we can have a whole lot of because my plan is to go and to basically use this aircraft carrier to help defend some of the land we've already got. So I'm going to send it there, so that if their Pacific Fleet decide to come there, they suddenly find themselves face to face with a bunch of aircraft which they can't hurt. But in the meantime, those poor Marines, they will take a pounding until they die, sadly. there any consolation is, they will be avenged one day when I smash the US fleet at Pearl Harbor. We've also made some landings in Cuba. Okay, I think this little mini bit has gone on long enough. It's about 10 minutes, so I will be back soon with another update, probably when we make our way into US proper. So we're back. We stopped on August the 9th. It's now August the 30th, so that's 21 days, so 3 weeks have passed. I thought it was worth a quick update on where we are. So yeah, welcome to the USA. We have carved into what must be Texas, because that's San Antonio, Texas, which we've captured, and the oil fields, which we highlighted a couple of episodes back, I think it was, at the end, as something I'd quite like to take from the USA early on in the war. Well, we've taken them down here, and our next target will probably be these lot up here, with the aim being to try and starve the US of oil, but they have so much production, I don't think we've got any chance really of starving them of oil. But at least we can capture the oil which we need for our own use, although we have now got a good spare capacity of oil, and that is in part because we have been building oil en masse over here and over here in Kyrgyzstan, formerly Kyrgyzstan. Oh, formerly Tibet, okay. Oh, that was Kyrgyzstan. Okay, so formerly Tibet, so we've exploited the Tibetan lands, and we've also been building, or we are building, in the process of building quite a lot of oil along here. We could build a bunch more, but these are already in progress, and we are going to be capturing the US's oil fields, so I think that's all right. Our industrial goods production has kind of stabilized a little bit, which is good. I've got muddled up with continents. I wanted to go here. So our industrial goods have stabilised, which is good. Our consumer goods, we are a little bit short now, so I am going to go on a bit of a building spree for those. Yep, so I think here. Let's just see how we are on military goods. Now we've got plenty of capacity there, so let's build consumer. So much different to the earlier episodes where I would sit and work out if I could afford it, and industrial goods and all that. But there's no need to worry, we've got a stockpile of 2.5 million and we're producing an extra 20,000 or so a day, so yeah, that's good. We're also taking Cuba as well, so this is going good. There's a bit of a gap here. Our units are kind of cut into three, so there's one thrust going down there, there's one thrust going down the middle, and there's one thrust going into the main USA. I mean, just looking at it, this looks kind of sparsely populated. This looks like where we want to go, towards Washington, and hopefully if we ever get to Washington, that will be the point at which they surrender. We have got a lot of units down here, and I want to send those units to the front, which I keep having to come along and do. I don't know, the front will probably be there by the time we get there. Let's just send them there for now. Yeah, the US still have a lot of capital ships, so every now and again one will turn up and cause us some trouble. But you know, for example, that one there. But they they take so long for the US to build that when we sink them, they realistically can't replenish them as quickly. We still have kept Wake Island. All of our units are dead there, but we are still producing and building some facilities there. So in the future, we may be able to go back there. And in fact, I have got 12 subs, which I'm trying to get over to here as my new kind of wolf pack type thing. So I figure 12 subs, if we have another exchange around Wake Island, I can wear them down, and that will be fine with me anyway. Yes, that's a type I. So when those are finished, I do hope that they've got the same range. That's something I didn't really check. So these have got, oh, they've got a bit more oil. They've got a bit more oil and they do more damage, so that's good. Okay, so that will do for this quick update. So we will keep playing off camera, and as we are playing off camera, we will be taking land from the US, and that is the way things are going right now. So I'll be back again soon with another update. Welcome back. So we've played about 10 days since the last little mini update, and Egypt has for some reason declared war on us. I mean, I guess they don't like us, so that's enough of a reason for them. I was opposing their government, of course, as well, because I knew that eventually I would need to declare war on them. Oh, I've got 100% war justification because I'm in fact at war. But this, yeah, they got 350,000 men. It might be interesting, but I don't think it's going to be a problem. So that's so that's the war over there. Over in America, things are still going good. So we're closing on Port Arthur. We've taken various further oil fields, which is good, and we are about to hit the US's second big batch of oil fields, actually, which is just up here in this area. So around Dallas. Oh, we've taken Dallas. Okay, that's happened in the last day since I checked that area. Might even want to think about making a supply hub around there if we haven't done already. There's a fair bit of useful stuff. So Dallas, do we have anything airbase wise? Oh, we've got one there at Camp Bowie, which will now become our supply hub for the Dallas area. So yeah, generally I'm just letting the computer do its thing. At this stage it's just a case of making sure no disasters happen, I think. We do occasionally get units picked off by their boats, which is still a bit of a problem with so many of our units moving around by sea. It's not ideal, because we do often lose a fair chunk, but we can replace them quite easily with the volume of military production we have. I'm also still trying to get these subs all located here, and then when they are, I will be able to see if I can launch a Wolfpack style assault on Pearl Harbor again. That's it for this update. I really just want to say Egypt declared war on us, and yeah, we'll probably add Egypt to our empire soon. I'll be back again in a bit. Welcome back. So a bunch of time has passed since I last had an update. A couple of months, probably not a bunch of time, but 2 months. That's a fair amount for me to do off camera. So we have really been hammering the US basically. They are now down to 133 million population. We are up to 1.76 billion. We have taken large swathes of their main country. So we've crossed into the US. We've taken a whole bunch of well-known places in the US. We've taken Houston, we've taken New Orleans, we've taken Kansas. I think we took somewhere up here. We've taken St. Louis. Kansas was somewhere around. We have taken that. Kansas City, there we are. So any fans of the Smallville or Superman series, we've taken where that's set. We have we've kind of stalled a little bit, to be honest. I think that's just supply lines catching up. So you can see here the supply isn't amazing, and though I've chucked down a few kind of supply depots there and airfields, we haven't really got much up here. I don't think there's any airfields up around this area, are there? So we probably need to throw one of those down. Oh, there's one there. There's one there. Okay. Let's put a couple of supply things there. And again, you can see why I play off camera, because even as I'm updating you, I get distracted with these things. I find you can't really keep track of them. You have to deal with them as you see them, because the world is just it's so big. There's probably hundreds of thousands of little hexes, and it's just keeping up with them is kind of a bit impossible, to be honest. So you just kind of, as you see something which is a problem, my advice is always to fix it as you see it, because you might not remember to fix it in future. So that's a lot of mounted infantry. Okay, I think we've ordered up some troops from around this area to go and fill that gap there. In fact, I think some of them have got there already. So actually we may look to cross that and then to build just a little bridge across it. We've taken this area around here as well. So this area around Los Angeles was really well, Los Angeles and San Diego, really well supplied. Really good thing to have captured. Should probably start turning these back on around this area as well. But yeah, that's well supplied, and looks pretty good, really. I think I was going to give a second supply depot. There was something I scrapped there. Yep, sure. So we've got a couple of supply depots going down by the air base. We should turn that back on. We should turn these on because the supplies are all right in that area. Turn these on as well. And ironically, actually, we've struggled more against Egypt than we have against the US, and I will go and explain why, because it is a useful military lesson, I think. Just check down a couple there. But basically, in general, the towns we're taking from the US are allowing our supply lines to extend. So the US is, I mean, as you can see there, it's pretty well supplied. I mean, there's a little gap there maybe, and there's gaps up in the north, and there's gaps in, I guess this is the desert over here, yeah. So, you know, there are gaps in some places, but generally as we capture the US territory, we are absorbing their supply, which is allowing the rapid advance. Now over in Egypt, we finally managed to cross the Suez Canal, but we had a couple of big problems. So one was the UK, who we're not at war with, have this territory along the Suez Canal, which makes it really difficult to cross. So I did land some forces here. I built a sea pier. I only had a few units, and so the Egyptians attacked and took it back. I was over fighting the war in the US, just assuming the war over here would be progressing. I came back over here to find that actually I had loads of units at sea, like I've got there, and they just couldn't. They couldn't land. They couldn't land, and they couldn't make it across the river, because this bridge, which is still being built, was being built. So I tried to basically build a sea pier, build a bridge across. This time I've landed some engineers in force, because they are amphibious. So combat engineers, you can see there, that means they're amphibious. So they kind of land and can attack at the same time. So I've driven some of those across. And as we're moving these units out, I can in effect replace them in the sea pier area with units we're bringing across. As you can see, those units are now disembarked and will go up to the front line. And that's in effect what we are trying to do here. So Egypt, it needed a bit of manual intervention from me. The computer was kind of stalled at that point, and that wasn't really that helpful. Yeah, we are doing well now. We're doing alright. So that bridge still isn't built. As you can see, they're getting on this sea pier here, which I built. And they're going across the sea pier there rather than heading across the bridge, because the bridge isn't finished yet. Also got some of our air force in there now, so I think they're kind of finished, to be honest, Egypt, just because of the sheer volume of units they've now got up against them. So yeah, that's kind of them done. I don't think I really need to worry about Egypt much more. So yeah, and just generally we have this strange going on here where a load of our units seem to be trying to use the sea to get around. It's just not really working. So loads of units on that territory there. Kind of need to try and clear out these clear out some of these units, just move them around a bit, because they're kind of all getting clogged up now, which isn't particularly helpful. So yeah, the computer keeps doing that. You'll notice our money is going down, and it's gone down an awful lot from its peak at 1.8 trillion, I think it was, and it's nothing to be that concerned about. We're spending money basically conquering the world, but our problems lie in a few areas. So one is production, which is at one point, I mean, we're just producing too much, to be honest. So this, when we capped all the US's oil fields, basically I put it up, it's 95 million now, so we make double the amount of oil we need, and we've got a huge stock. So I've kind of turned that down to about there. Might turn down a little bit more. So we are we're fine on oil. I tried using the set it to a certain percentage of demand, and it just wasn't working. It was massively overproducing. Same with industrial goods, incidentally, it was massively overproducing, because we now have way too much capacity, having captured most of the US's supply capacity. So we we're pretty much home free at this stage, to be honest, in terms of what we can do. Military goods. I think our main cost now in terms of balancing our economy is actually our military, so we're spending a large quantity on military production and on maintaining our military. So we're spending 6 million a day, and that's why we're no longer making any money. And at some point soon, I'm probably going to turn off Minister Auto production, because I don't want to cripple my economy, but I do want to beat the US. So I'm going to turn Missile Auto build off. Do I want Navy off? Yeah, I do for now. Do I want air off? Yeah. In fact, let's turn them all off. And if I need to turn them back on, I can do. And this is just because we are the dominant world power at the moment. There isn't anyone left who can challenge us. Yes, we're losing a lot of units because, particularly in this part of the world, we are kind of struggling to sorry, I'm getting very distracted. Not in that part of the world. In this part of the world, we have struggled to eliminate the US's fleet at Pearl Harbor, in part because I haven't really been paying much attention, but every time I send a large quantity of submarines over there, what tends to happen is they all die. So we've sent the slightly better subs over there this time, 8 of them. They've done some damage, it looks like they've taken some damage, but really what happens is by the time they arrive, I've got distracted somewhere else and it's just not really worked. What I do want to try and do is maybe get some ships somewhere over there. I want to send that for repair, I think. And when that's repaired, maybe we can send some ships over there or something. But let's just put this guy on patrol around here. But yeah, we've struggled to knock them out of the Pacific Ocean here. So they've still got their kind of Pearl Harbor, and they really have been picking off our units. So you can see a lot of our, these shields here are us capturing stuff. These shields in the middle of the sea, there's nothing there. We're just losing units en masse. And to be honest, there's not a great deal I've done about that. It kind of is a necessary evil of fighting this war with the US. I think that they are going to have Pearl Harbor. It's difficult for me to get it off them, and yeah, a lot of my units are sneaking across, but a lot of them are getting taken out. So that's it for this update. So it's been about 10 minutes, and this is a multi-part episode, as you know. So I will be back again soon to update you on progress in the war with the US, and probably tell you Egypt has fallen this time. Welcome back. So we've played another half a month or so. So quick update, and then I'm going to wrap this episode up, and I will probably do the final end of the US in my next episode. So Egypt fell. We got enough troops across the Suez Canal that we could take their capital, and they surrendered shortly after. So we've now got this new area, so we're just building some supply depots to improve the supply here, because eventually we may well need this to go to war. The computer seems to have, I guess it's picking up a bunch of troops I put into Egypt, and it's going to commute them over to the US. Not sure how wise that is, but odds are by the time that bulk of that force gets there, we may actually have pushed up towards Washington. We continue our advance, so we're advancing on most fronts. There's kind of, I guess, 3 or 4 key areas. There's one up here. There's a thrust going on there. There's a little mini thrust there, which may get to the Canadian border pretty soon. There's a group of units here. And there's probably the main offence pushing eastwards towards Washington. We continue to lose troops in the Atlantic, unfortunately. We have at least got some subs in the area now, trying to take units down, so we should see let's run out of supplies, annoyingly. Probably can't finish that ship off, which is a real shame. Let's try and send them here. So yeah, so that's the end of this episode. So good episode. Gone to war with the US, have broken the back of them, so their economy, their military is now only 1.9 million, and we've taken a lot of their production capacities. So I think the war with them, to be honest, is pretty much over. They can't hit us back anymore. I've started to think actually about declaring a second war somewhere around here, just because at the moment the game is feeding all of my units over to here, which means I'm going to have a massive force in the US when the war ends. Be useful to take Canada. I better look at their justification, and we're kind of ready-ish to go to war with them, I think. And at that point, to be honest, popularity in the world doesn't matter. We are deemed as full-on Axis now, which is a bit odd because I've never really chosen to join with Germany. I guess it's because I'm not at war with them. So we may go after Canada, and then we'll start picking off parts of Africa. And I don't really think we need to declare. There's no particular rush to declare war on Germany. Germany have kind of stagnated. Their military shrunk a fair bit. Their population is kind of alright-ish. They still get lots of rebellions, but not nearly as much as they once did. I mean, the only rush might be if we really do start run out of money, but I'm sure I could rebalance my economy easily enough if that were to happen. So we will wrap that episode there. I hope this has been useful and interesting to folks. I'm enjoying getting close to what will be my first world conquest on this game, because actually before, when I've been playing this, I got a bit bored once I started to get going. But yeah, this has been interesting, and military production is really the key. So we've turned it off for now, auto minister production, but we can turn it back on at a moment's notice, and we will have loads of units streaming out of our production facilities. But for now, we massively outnumber everyone else's military. We massively outnumber everyone else's population. Some point soon I may jump the UK just to take that money off them, because I mean, it's unbelievable actually when you look at it. They've got 10 million people, they've got a tiny little country, but their colonies must just be feeding them an absolute load of money. That's the only thing I can think of how you can explain how one of the smallest nations in the world now in terms of population. So who's smaller? Well, there are a lot of smaller ones, but you know, they're pretty middling at 10 million is very, very, very rich. Our people, actually, our domestic approval is the highest in the world as well, despite the fact that we constantly declare war. So yeah, and our population is way bigger than everyone's. So things are going well. Any questions, do let me know below the video. If you've liked, please like. If you've really liked, please do subscribe. I'm Lukey P. Thank you as always for watching, and I will see you again soon.